This is what was happening in the world when Jesus was born. While a child entered the world in a small town of Judea, the most powerful empire on earth stretched across three continents. Rome ruled the Mediterranean, but Rome was no longer a republic of senators and debates. It was an empire. And at the top stood one man, Caesar Augustus. Before the crown, he was Octavian, the adopted heir of Julius Caesar, the young general who defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra and brought Egypt under Roman control. Now he ruled from Spain to Syria, from the forests of Gaul to the sands of North Africa. He called it peace, the Pax Romana, peace enforced by legions. Roads of stone stitched the empire together, tens of thousands of miles of engineered precision. All roads lead to Rome, people said, and for a while it was true. But Rome was not alone. To the east stood a rival, the Parthian Empire, a vast kingdom stretching across Mesopotamia toward India, the ancient lands of Persia. Its ruler, Phraates IV, had seized his throne through blood. He eliminated rivals, even within his own family. Power was survival. After years of tension, Rome and Parthia reached an uneasy peace. Augustus sent diplomatic gifts, including a young Italian woman named Musa. She arrived a slave, but she did not remain one. Beautiful, intelligent, and calculating, Musa won the king's favor. She bore him a son, Phraates V. Yet the throne had other heirs, so she persuaded the king to send his older sons to Rome for education. In reality, she removed her competition. Soon after, the king drank wine at his own table and never rose again. Musa ruled beside her son, a former Roman slave, now Queen of Persia. This was the kind of political intrigue shaping the world when Jesus was a child. And Persia mattered for another reason. It was a land of scholars, astrologers, and priestly astronomers. The Magi. They studied the heavens. When they observed an extraordinary celestial event, perhaps a rare planetary alignment, they interpreted it as the birth of a king in Judea. They were not wandering mystics. They were elite advisors, and they began a journey west. When they arrived in Jerusalem, they requested an audience with King Herod. Herod the Great ruled by Rome's authority. He was not born to David's line. He was appointed. So when foreign dignitaries asked, "Where is the one born King of the Jews?" Herod was shaken. The chief priests consulted the ancient prophecies. Bethlehem. The Messiah would come from Bethlehem. Yet though it was only a short journey away, none of the religious leaders went to see. The Magi did. They found not a newborn, but a young child. They bowed and offered gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Gifts fit for royalty and burial. Soon after, Herod ordered the execution of boys in Bethlehem under 2 years old. But warned in a dream, Joseph fled with Mary and the child to Egypt. They traveled on Roman roads. Those same roads that carried armies would one day carry apostles. Meanwhile, far to the east, another empire stood strong. China under the Han Dynasty. Nearly 60 million people. A civilization of scholars, engineers, and soldiers. The Great Wall stretched across mountains. A massive defense against northern threats. On the throne sat a child, Emperor Ping, young, isolated, controlled. Behind him stood Wang Mang, a brilliant and patient politician. He appeared humble. He gained public favor. He placed allies in power. Then the young emperor died, officially from illness. Many suspected poison. Wang Mang seized the throne and founded a new dynasty. Across continents, ambition reshaped kingdoms. And in a village of perhaps a few hundred people, Nazareth, Jesus grew up. It seemed insignificant, but only a few miles away ran a major trade route, the Via Marias. Caravans passed carrying silk from China, spices from India, glass from Rome. Ideas moved with the merchants. Religions traveled. Buddhism spread east. Greek philosophy spread west. Persian thought influenced Jewish theology. The world was connected. Empires rose and fell. Trade flowed across deserts. Power shifted in palaces. And in obscurity, a carpenter's son matured. At 30 years old, Jesus walked to the Jordan River. There, at one of the lowest elevations on earth, he was baptized. The heavens opened. Then came the wilderness. 40 days of fasting, temptation, silence. He returned with authority. He healed the sick. He forgave sins. He challenged religious hypocrisy. He spoke of a kingdom, not enforced by swords, but transformed hearts. Crowds gathered. In Cana, water became wine. In villages across Galilee, the blind saw and the lame walked. Demons fled. Storms obeyed. In Bethany, a man named Lazarus walked out of a tomb. That miracle changed everything. Jerusalem prepared for Passover. Jesus entered the city riding a donkey. The crowd shouted, "Hosanna!" They expected a political savior, but Jesus overturned tables in the temple instead of overthrowing Rome. Within days, one of his own disciples betrayed him. 30 pieces of silver. He was arrested at night, tried in haste, questioned by priests, then handed to Pontius Pilate. Pilate found no crime worthy of death, but the crowd demanded crucifixion, Roman execution, reserved for rebels. At around 9 in the morning, Jesus was nailed to a cross outside the city walls. By mid-afternoon, the sky darkened. It is finished. He died. Rome believed the problem was solved. History suggests otherwise. 3 days later, the tomb was empty. For 40 days, he appeared to his followers. Then on the Mount of Olives, he ascended. 50 days after Passover, during Pentecost, his disciples stepped into the streets of Jerusalem with boldness. Thousands believed. This was unprecedented. Movements die when leaders are executed. But this one expanded. Fishermen traveled across provinces. Tax collectors preached to cities. Former persecutors became missionaries. The message moved along Roman roads, through trade routes, across languages, from Jerusalem to Rome, from Syria to Asia Minor, from Greece to beyond. Empires had built the infrastructure, but something greater filled it with meaning. In a world of emperors, slave queens, assassinations, and child rulers, a different kind of kingdom began. Not built by force, not defended by walls, not preserved by fear. A kingdom that claimed death itself had been defeated. And from that moment on, history would never be the same. Because while emperors fought for thrones, a crucified carpenter changed the world.